Bob? Okay. All right, good morning. Call to order UMM business meeting March 8th at 8:32 a.m. So first thing is opening prayer and devotional. So devotional today. The reading is from Philippians 2, verses 3 and 4. Don't do anything only to get ahead. Don't do it because you are proud. Instead, be humble. Value others more than yourselves. None of you should look out just for your own good. Each of you should also look out for the good of others. And the reading of this is practicing humility. When I was younger, I often felt I needed to prove myself, whether it was in school, sports, or social situations. I was always striving to be the best, to outshine others, and seek recognition. One day, a mentor gently pointed out that my constant need for validation was rooted in pride and insecurity. He shared with me the importance of humility, noting that true greatness lies in serving others and putting their needs ahead of my own. This was a hard lesson to learn, but it changed my perspective. Practicing humility does not come naturally. It requires intentional effort and a heart transformed by God's grace. It means recognizing that every good thing we have comes from God and that we are not superior to others. It involves acknowledging our limitations and being willing to learn from others, even those whom we might think are less experienced. Jesus is the ultimate example of humility. Though he though he is God, he chose to humble himself, taking the form of a servant and sacrificing his life for us. In in following his example, we learn to value others, listen more, and to serve without expecting anything in return. I've learned that humility allows us to see others through God's eyes and to respond with compassion and grace. Practicing humility means letting go of our ego and embracing the mindset of a servant, just as Jesus did. The Lord teaches to practice humility, transform us to reflect your love and grace. Amen. So, kind of thought that was appropriate, being the fact that we have a big competition coming up this afternoon.
A lot of smack talk already.
Oh, yeah, and it's by me too. You're going down, baby. But realistically, when you think about it, and one of the things that was real hard for me in former life and career that I had was that there wasn't a competitiveness, that everybody that you see. And sometimes you get to see the ugly side of that. And I called it uber competitive.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really, there's a point where you just kind of have to sit back, which is kind of why I'm a little more laid back about some of these things. Kind of like this. It's like, well, if we make $8, we make $8. We don't have a whole lot into it. So, but anyway, I think it's good for us to be reminded occasionally that it's not always about you, not always about yourself. Worry about yourself, but not always about yourself. So anyway. Finances. So I was a little off on the last report. Our operating account is 1494 and a few cents, and scholarship funds is 3680. Okay. I apologize with that. I got with Brandy and asked because I thought our scholarship was right at 4,000 rather. But there was a something that was misreported earlier with that. So so that's where we stand. Old business. So the minutes for the last meeting and report was emailed out to everybody. Does anyone have any additions, deletions, or changes from those?
Just possibility on the youth, first Sunday or first Wednesday, whatever it is. I noticed you and Charles. He changed the date or something.
Yeah, Charles has to be out of town.
Yeah, if you want me to pick up one of those, I wasn't here last time, but if you want me to take the April or whatever the other one is,
You want April?
yeah, I'll do it. Say,
Okay,
okay,
you got it.
all right. Wait a sec. Excuse me.
No, I'm the same way this morning. so-
Yeah, it's terrible, isn't it?
Anyway, so other than that, does anybody have any additions or changes? Okay. So you're talking about the Sunday youth breakfast, right?
Sure.
Okay.
The one for April 6th.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfectly good with me. If not, I'll take care of it. Okay, so since that was the only change, we will move down, continue moving on. Youth breakfast, as aforementioned. Charles, you're still good for the 4th, correct? Yes, no? Okay, good. Open house dates are as stated there. The next one is March 19th, which is the Wednesday after spring break. So none of that has changed. One change that did occur was that moving down, if you look on letter D, is the business meeting dates. So the April 16th date was changed to April 19th. Because the whole point of meeting on Wednesday nights was to like get more of the dads of the youth involved. We're really not getting any participation, so I don't see a need for us to be up here till 8:30 or so on a Wednesday night when we can be home a little earlier than that. So that meeting was moved to April 19th. Okay. Now put a question mark by that because we may come back to that. Okay. Here in just a minute. The scholarship fund. So the scholarship fund is now online. And the submission date, boy, I need to check my typing whenever I do this. Submission date was changed to April 15th. And it's on the youth and the UMM tab for the church website. I have, as of yesterday, I actually have received one submission, one application. And I very briefly, it's set up to where whenever it's submitted, it goes to Isabella and it goes to me at the same time. So I have not had a chance to vet anything with it. Furthermore, we are not going to even look at that until like April or May anyway. So, but it's there and it works. So it's actually pretty good. So one of the things that we had been talking about last meeting was revisions to the scholarship application for not this school year, but next school year. And a couple of things that people came up with, and we ended the last meeting with basically three things was to, number one, make it obtainable. Forgot exactly what it was. Oh, sorry. Requirements that there be some volunteer hours required. And the three things were that it be faith-based first, community-based second, The second thing is that the requirements be obtainable. And then to consider what exceptions could be made by, what the requirements are. Our requirements are within the scholarship. So the question is, do we want to, going back to this, do we want to change anything that is currently there? Or with volunteer hour requirements? And if so, how do we want to change them? So a couple of things that came up last meeting was, 4 hours, 10 hours, volunteer hours, and primarily to be for and with organizations through that this church sponsors. Okay. Habitat for Humanity, food distribution, inner city. But again, those are things that do require a minimum age. They may or may not be able to do all of them because they may or may not happen on weekends when kids are in school. So I'm open to just anything. I think it's a good idea. But I think if we make it obtainable, we might need to, my thoughts are that we might need to open it beyond just what we do here. So what thoughts do you have?
When you say that, Mike, what do you have in mind beyond what we do here?
So there's many school organizations, many schools have and you can verify them through the school. People, they sign off on volunteer hours, but they do things like they'll do like an hour after school making, they don't call them manna bags because they can't use anything religious, but they'll call them what do they call them? Help bags or something like that. Like, but they're similar to manna bags, you know. There's other things that they do like food drive, can collections, you know, at different times of the year, sponsoring families at Thanksgiving for meals and stuff. I'm not saying that we totally disregard our own organization. But what I am saying is that if we do require volunteer hours, I think we also have to look at if it's going to be obtainable, we have to look at allowing applicants to gain volunteer hours outside of our church as well. So
Aren't we in the youth involved with some kind of pet thing? Animal? Okay,
don't think so.
okay.
I'll say this, when they have, I know that when they did a couple of years ago, the summer mission, whatever,
Mhm.
they did, they like, because I drove them. We went to Canyon Lake and they like exercised the dogs from the shelter and gave them
Okay.
baths and stuff. But I mean, I don't know if there's like you know, I don't know if there's a connection there.
How
Yeah.
many applicants do we normally get, Mark?
Last year we had two.
Two, right?
This year we could have up to two. Next year we could have up to 8.
Well, that'd be wonderful, yeah.
So, I'm just thinking about it because next year there's there's the Barrios kid, Schrader's daughter, Davenport's daughter. And there's 2 or 3 more that, so I mean, you know, there could be up to 8 as far as I know. But the point I'm trying to say with this is that I don't think that it would be a problem for the ones that are upcoming next year to obtain a small amount of hours, because they may already have them. But they may not necessarily be through the church.
Mm.
The other thing with just one second,
Mhm.
sorry, the other thing is what if they volunteer for like vacation Bible school? You know, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's something that is it's promoting the church and community service, but at the same time, it's not during school where they could obtain these hours. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
There's lots of things that happen during the year on weekends. For example, today, I think there's a cleanup and planting of stuff outside, I
Mhm.
believe. That happens several times a year. And if there's a kid who really wants volunteer hours, all they have to do is go talk to Mary Jane,
Uh-huh.
and she will find a place for them to do something beneficial to the church. Fairly easily. If we have a requirement for 10 hours and we find that we start having trouble with people not being able to attain it,
Mhm.
then we might look at expanding at that point if people are having significant problem getting that, which they shouldn't. Okay. Uh,
I mean, honestly, if they volunteer for vacation Bible school, they should have 10 hours.
right. But I mean, yeah, but all they have to do is, two of the cleanups, I mean,
Yeah.
they can volunteer to be a greeter on Sunday morning. And there's all kinds of things. So if we have a 10-hour requirement, that should be easy to meet without having to go and
Okay.
and open it up, unless we find that we're having difficulty doing so. We could grant someone if they come to us and say, "Hey, I had trouble doing this, but can I substitute?" And you can always give them a case by case adjustment. But I think that we just 10 hours minimum at the church should be
So-
attainable.
Okay. So
2 cents.
no, does anybody have a problem with 10 hours?
No,
Okay, so as a framework, we'll look at 10 hours. 10 hours volunteer, 10 volunteer hours with the church. Is that okay?
Okay.
Or through CHUMC.
okay.
Mhm.
Is that okay?
Yep.
All right. Now, now we're not gonna put, based on what you said, and they're not restricted to any specific mission. They can be
Mission of choice.
vacation Bible school, they can be greeters, they can be ushers, they can be Habitat for Humanity, they can be,
Yeah, and a couple of each, right? A couple of hours. here,
yeah,
a
or
couple of
any,
hours
or any,
there.
any,
What
any
the heck,
any
right?
combination
Yeah.
thereof.
Go clean up.
Clean up after
So-
daily supper.
So, so are we
Mhm.
cool with that?
Yeah.
I am.
Now, the question that I have is, how do we verify it? Do we need a documentation form submitted with the,
Yeah.
Sign off by the supervisor or whatever
Okay.
you want to
Yeah, I
call
mean,
it.
whoever's in
Verified by
charge of
Mary
the
Jane.
cleanup,
She
yeah.
can, that's part of her mission, volunteer coordinator, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Vacation Bible school director,
Mhm.
sign off.
well, I mean, the point is there's a general documentation form that whoever
Yeah.
verified, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
But Mary Jane is our official volunteer coordinator. I'm sure she has something like that.
Isn't there like a reading buddy thing too?
Uh,
There?
I don't, there's something with that, but I don't know exactly how it works. I know that Dixie, Yarborough
Mhm.
was, she said something to me about it, but I think they're more, during the week.
Yeah, they're doing it. Yeah,
So that's the thing I was saying about being obtainable is, you know, so I'm gonna have to figure out how we can,
I was just thinking of something that wouldn't involve so much physical labor, you know, not everyone is.
no, you're right. No, you're way right. I mean, that's, but anyway, so, okay. I'll figure out a way, cause that document would have the verification document. Well, the bottom line is they can submit this and then. Okay, well, I have an idea, but
You can just say that the hours would be verified by the church volunteer coordinator.
yeah,
but a lot of organizations, well, I shouldn't say a lot, but I know for Habitat, there's a volunteer coordinator. It's on site every weekend.
and they sign it when you
And
leave.
they sign it when you leave.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I say. I'll come up with a deal. They don't need to submit the documentation. Here's the thing. It says it says that we require 10 hours of volunteer 10 volunteer hours through the church that is verifiable via documentation form. Now, here's the thing. If it's Habitat for Humanity, we're going to need to see that because that cannot be verified through Mary Jane.
Or could she reach out to the Habitat's volunteer coordinator and?
They're not going to
and inquire?
remember. They're not going to remember who was there and who was not.
No.
They're not going to
Because
remember.
they sign the form
Yeah,
and that person takes it with them.
they're not,
They
they
don't-
wouldn't remember.
Okay, but Mary Jane, they could give the form to Mary Jane
Well,
to ver.
well,
to
well, hold on,
verify.
hold on. We're getting way ahead here. Just listen to this whole thing.
All right.
Yeah.
Verifiable instead of saying via documentation form, just stop and just say
It's verifiable.
that is verifiable.
Mhm.
And that way, if you need a document, then you contact the applicant and say, submit your documentation. Because if it's through the church, she'll know. Mary Jane will know. So it's verified right there. You just went and asked her, hey, tell me about Joe Schmo. I need to know if they have so many volunteer hours they're being considered for a scholarship. That's all you got to do. And if they don't have enough, or they have Habitat for Humanity that cannot be verified through the church, then you contact the applicant and say, you need to submit your Habitat for Humanity documentation sheet. So that's why I say, doesn't need to be any. I don't think it needs to be any more complicated than that.
You get too much bureaucracy.
Okay. Now, the next thing that I'm going to say, which was the third deal, is what do we do for exceptions? Kind of as a rough draft on the form, what I put was comments / considerations in lieu of volunteer hours. So is that enough to basically, like, and here's the reason that it's put on there. Here's the eligibility in this order. CHUMC members, CHUMC member relatives. So Larry, your grandchildren in Austin are eligible,
Okay,
but they can't do volunteer hours through the church.
Right.
Because they live in Austin. You understand what I'm saying?
right.
So my question is that phrase that says comments/considerations in lieu of volunteer hours sufficient?
You made a point that Larry's grandchildren in Austin technically would be
Hmm?
eligible. We want to say something that's, the student be resident in the
Well,
in
that,
this, in the San Antonio metropolitan area. Because otherwise you could have people applying from all over, different cities and states. We're not
So-
opening this up nationally.
so let me read what, and this was directly from the old form. CHUMC members, CHUMC member relatives, members from other UMC congregations, community members sponsored by a CHUMC member, members of the community at large. So to address what you said, members of the community at large could be anyone in San Antonio. The way I read it, it could be anyone that's in the Colonial Hills area, or what is this, Castle Hills and
Well, San Antonio metropolitan
Yeah.
area.
so. But when you say members from other UMC congregations, what if they live in Floresville and go to the United Methodist Church in Floresville? I mean, again, what if they don't go to the United Methodist Church? They go to, what's that Catholic church over there on Burnett Road, close to where your grandchildren live? St. Louis. What if they go to St. Louis Catholic Church, but they're Larry's grandchildren? I mean, it's kind of, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just playing devil's advocate with this, is that if we look at that, then we need to change who's eligible.
And we need to define a lot of things.
That's
Yeah.
my point.
I think the idea is local area. So doesn't hurt that much to say that
So,
this is within the San Antonio metropolitan area. Because I think that's the intent.
I would agree.
so I'll also say this is, you know, while you're doing this, because I looked at the disbursements of this, there's a young man that received this scholarship 4 times. Believe it or not.
I thought this was graduating seniors.
Yep, you're right. But it doesn't say anything on
Red
there.
shirt or something?
It doesn't say anything on there that says they have to be a graduating senior. There's nothing on here that says that they have to be a graduating senior. And this young man, now a lot of the times, due to the notes that I saw, was that this happened between like 2017 and 2019. He was awarded this scholarship 4 times, and three of them were gifts, basically, that the notations said this is a deposit to the UMM scholarship to be awarded to. So it was a dedicated fund. But my point
That's
is,
something like from the quilters gave the money towards that, something like
No.
that.
It's like Mike McLaughlin
Oh.
is giving X amount of dollars to Bob Herrick in the form of a United Methodist scholarship.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, just the optics of it does not look good, is my point. Because if we want to sit and try to be as inclusive as possible, then you know what? If you want to give him money to go to school, give him money, but don't do it through us.
All we want the tax. That's why they run it through the church.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I understand.
I mean, I'm not saying
no,
it's
I-
right, but that's what's up.
I understand that, but my point being is that it, and I know it's kind of one of those, it's like, it might be a touchy subject, but it doesn't have to go through us. It can go it can go through the church, and as long as those funds have a tag to them, they don't have to come through us. And that's my point.
Well, this scholarship is from the men's group, right?
Correct.
Well, then I think we need to tighten it down, that it comes through the men's group. It is, everybody gets the same shot. They fill out the application, they put in the hours,
Okay.
they do the work.
And
we
if you
award-
donate money to us to be awarded as a scholarship, we decide who
Yes.
gets the scholarship.
That's what I'm
If you
saying.
want to donate tag money to someone,
Yeah,
it goes through the church, not necessarily through us.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
All
so we're gonna spend a whole lot of time talking about this.
So
Can,
we just
can,
need to say, put the word graduating senior.
well, can we table this till April?
Yeah,
Because we have a good start with hours verification, and we got a lot of other stuff to do with chili cook-off and stuff coming up. So can we table this?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mike, can you make a motion?
Got it?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Can I have a second?
So
Aye.
Thank you. Just for legal purposes.
Mhm.
Who's second, Larry or
Larry.
Charles? Larry, okay. Doesn't anybody oppose? Okay. So. Anyway. These are things I thought of as we were going along, so I was like, yeah, okay. All right, chili cook-off. It is today at 4:30 is judging. I propose that we be here at least at 4 o'clock. Is that okay? Do we need to be here earlier, Larry?
I was thinking 3:30.
Okay,
Well, we're gonna go, I thought we were going over after now
Right,
to actually do the physical setup of chairs and tables.
we are,
yeah,
Okay.
we are, but that's
Okay.
why I was saying once
'Cause
it's,
I should be able to be there by 4:15 because I have an obligation
okay,
until 4, but I will try to have my parts done this morning.
okay, we're good, we're good. What I meant is just as a group for greeting and helping you with, where people put things and all that kind of stuff. So you think 3:30?
that's my thought, but
Okay,
part of it is Nancy Cade,
is,
who entered,
okay.
okay, left me 4 quarts of her chili to take care of,
Oh, boy.
on spring break,
Okay,
but she wanted to contribute.
okay,
So it's she brought it to me. We met up at church here, and 4 frozen quarts of chili and cooked chili, and I'm gonna have to
we're good.
warm
We're-
it this afternoon.
We're good.
Transport it and set it up, and
Okay, we're
so
good.
there's
We'll,
partly selfish
so
reasons.
we'll be here at 3:30.
Yeah.
We'll be here at
I
3:30.
think there's in there a crock pot under, there on the shelf, like.
I have the crock pot. She
You
brought
have
me, yeah, I brought it, but, the logistics and so forth.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So,
And, you know, yeah. Do
Like I
have to have
said,
an
you-
extension cords or,
hey,
that's one of the things we're gonna need to
hey,
think about.
you took point in this. If you say we need to be there at 3:30, we'll be there at
Oh, gosh.
3:30.
Okay,
Okay? So I'm good with that. As far as supplies and trips to the store, like I said, I will have, 2 cases of water. And you have a list of everything else that's
Soup bowl,
needed over
cups,
there.
napkins, fuel, spoons.
Fuel, what do we need fuel for?
Well, we need to in case we need it, but we need to replenish what we used last event. Since
Okay,
I'm buying, I might as well get a couple containers of that.
okay. So you have a list.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I'll bring a cash box with some change
okay.
and a notebook.
if I remember correctly, when we did, what was it? Christmas breakfast with Santa, we did Venmo,
I don't know, I wasn't there.
didn't we? Cause you handled that, if I remember.
Some people
right.
may not have that
The
though.
church, it was they used the church's website, cash app or whatever.
So,
Push pay.
Push
so we
pay.
have,
Please push
okay,
back.
so there on Mary Jane's desk, there is a QSR code.
QR code.
QR code, sorry, QR code that Landon prepared that is linked directly to our account here.
Okay,
So that's there. But for those that would prefer cash, it would probably be okay. And you're okay. So you got that. Okay. Is there anything else that we need as far as like supplies from the store? Other than water and anything else. Now, let me be very clear, this we do not need to go get cheese and chips and chopped onions and all that other kind of stuff because on the form, there's 2 reasons for this. On the form, it said, bring all of your toppings for your chili. Because certain chilies require certain toppings.
Mhm.
We can't do all of that. And the next thing is, I already had a thought for next year. Next year, you have a chili cook-off and you have a cornbread bake. And you award best cornbread. And then that way you have chili and cornbread for next year. You gotta build this, okay? So, anyway.
Mhm.
So, anything else as far as needs that anybody is aware of?
this dawned on me yesterday. Do we need any outside signage to direct people to the gym? And what I'm thinking is, I talked to the directors, there's 85 families that were notified through the CDC and 64 through the church school. Well, they all know, or, we've got signage on the digital sign outside. If you have somebody from the community,
That just
Do-
walks in, yeah.
it just walks in. Do we need any kind of signage?
You know,
Well, we've got,
outside?
there's a marquee.
Well, the marquee doesn't have it because
no, I
they
know what
want
you're
it for
saying.
the church school enrollment.
It's not signage for advertising, it's signage to let people know where the gym is.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
which
Yeah.
I understand that.
yeah.
So, I'm gonna put it to you this way, you're probably right, we do. But what we do need as a church is we need to put signs up that says gym is this way, admin is this way. Which
Oh,
I
yeah.
can bring up at another meeting and stuff, but what I'm gonna say is the little kids that actually rent the gym and have their basketball leagues, they find a way to get there. So I'm sure that you know, if somebody walks up and they walk over here, they're gonna see that that's not a gym, so they'll just kind of wander.
And they'll see, hopefully they'll see people going in
What do
the
they
right
do?
direction.
What do they do for the holiday market?
I don't know.
Cause I don't think they put signs up
That's it.
for that, so.
No.
Well, there's signs for the gymnasium.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, there are, you know, around the campus.
I don't know. I always go in the back way, so,
Yeah.
okay.
I never noticed, Charlie.
All right.
Just assume well, okay. Don't worry about
Okay,
that.
so when we get out of here, we need to set the gym up with tables and chairs. Distribute and go to the store and all that kind of stuff and bring everything back. You have the judges' cards and papers and certificates and all that stuff, so that when they come in. So yeah, as soon as we get out of here and get that thing set up, we're pretty much done as far as going where it's at. No tabled items from last time. So new business, spring events that we have. Easter brunch. So I am going to propose and make a motion that we do not sponsor Easter brunch. I've already put it out there as a motion. Actually, I can't put it as a motion. We need to have discussion first.
No, you can move, then we have discussion.
Can you?
Yes.
Okay.
You call you call the question, then you have discussion, then you have the vote.
Okay. So I'm putting a motion out there that we do not sponsor the brunch as we have in the past for a couple of reasons. The first is that not that I am the most important person ever, but I will not be here. I will be visiting my children over Easter and or possibly my parents or my in-laws, one of the two. The second reason is because we have not been contacted for this. Currently, the reason that we have done this in the past is because the children's director has planned with the breakfast along with Easter egg hunts and other stuff. Children's director is currently vacant. Y'all take from this however you want to take it, but and it's recorded, so whatever. Normally, things like that should probably be planned out 8 weeks in advance. And that would have, with where Easter is, that would have put it somewhere around the 1st of February. And
Don't you think that you're right, it should be dealt with, should have been dealt with, and we should have already been asked. But isn't it more likely since Jason's transitioning out that someone's gonna take it and all of a sudden realize week beforehand, whoops, you know, we need to get the men on board to do this. Are you saying we shouldn't volunteer in advance? Because we're certainly gonna be asked.
by whom? That's my deal is I don't know
It
by,
could go all the way up to Pastor Dan at the last second, hey, you guys gonna do this or not?
well,
Sorry, we didn't ask you in advance, but you know, you traditionally that you've done it. Are you gonna, will you help us out and do it again? I
well,
can see that coming.
I'm gonna put it this way, and I'm not saying that this is good, bad, or indifferent. You know, as Larry said, selfishly, um, I've already made my Easter plans and I'm not changing my Easter plans. Now, as I have said, it's not that I'm the most important person. As a matter of fact, I am in lessons of humility and everything else from today. This is a group decision.
Well, if you're missing or one
No,
other
no,
missing, that's
no,
it.
that
You're
has,
down
no,
to
that
three
has not,
folks.
no, that
Now
has
we're
nothing.
talking about manpower.
I understand, but
Okay, if one or two are missing, you're down to 3 people.
well,
So there's not a heck of a lot
I'm
3
just
people can
saying,
take on.
I'm just saying I have made plans because, number one, I just don't get to see my kids as often as I'd like to. But, And since I was not contacted for this, you know, and I have my plans made, I'm not changing my plans at the last minute for it. So now, if anyone else would like to run point with it and organize this, I will be glad to contact Pastor Dan on your behalf and say, you know, for Easter brunch, contact whomever. So again, I have a motion that says that we do not sponsor.
Second.
I have a second.
So it means if Pastor Dan comes and asks us, we're saying politely, no, thank you.
That's what it would mean. Unless one of you wants to take your second back, please. Okay. Second is rescinded. I'm withdrawing my motion.
I think you ought to keep it, Mike.
Well,
We can still make this motion and somebody can still do it even with the motion. So, you know, it's just,
I'm doing this. I'm altering the motion. This is why I
Okay.
say I'm rescinding.
okay.
Sending the motion and I'm altering this. My motion is to say, if we are asked and we have a volunteer to coordinate, we will sponsor the Easter brunch
Mhm.
because I will not sponsor it because I will not be here. I will not coordinate it. So that being said, the motion, as my pen runs out, the motion that I'm putting forward is this.
You don't volunteer
Uh,
unless asked?
will not sponsor unless asked and volunteer from UMM will coordinate. So we can clean that up now.
Okay.
Does anybody volunteer to coordinate this?
Oh, hell no.
Of course, that's the answer.
Now
That's what I
we
was
can
saying.
also have this, that because of the situation you just mentioned, we might assist another group. Okay, that's going to coordinate
Well,
and, you know.
again, it goes back to this, whether we assist another group or not, we need a volunteer here to coordinate us.
Mhm.
So whether we assist another group, whether we don't, we need a volunteer here that will coordinate this group and coordinate with another group. So here's my deal. We will not sponsor unless asked and a volunteer from our group will coordinate. So I can clean that up very simply by saying, anybody here want to be the volunteer that coordinates this?
Mm.
Not I.
Okay.
I'm gonna be gone.
Yeah,
Who is unnamed? Do I have a second on that motion? Mike? Vote? All opposed? All approved?
Approve.
Approved.
Okay. So this carries unanimously then that we will not sponsor unless asked and a volunteer from UMM will coordinate. Okay. Elections. Elections are going to be in April. So the question is, going back to the question mark about April 19th, normally we meet on the second Saturday in April, which is April, in this case, it would be April 12th. Do we want to move that up one deal? Do we want to move this up 1 week to meet on April 12th instead of April 19th? It's a question. I have no feelings one way or the other. Normally when we meet on Saturdays, it's the second Saturday. That's why I say that. Okay. April 19th would be the third Saturday. And the only reason it was the only reason that it was that late, scheduled that late to begin with, is because originally the business meeting in April was to coordinate with the Wednesday night supper, because the Wednesday night suppers are not being productive. It was changed to the 19th, which is the Saturday afterwards. Do we want to move it up to the 12th? There's plenty of reasons that we could move it to the 12th, such as it fits the normal schedule. It gives us more time to talk about scholarship awards as well as scholarship amendments for the following year. And if anything else comes up in April, such as Easter brunch, it would give us another, instead of having 1 day, it would give us, like I said,
That's fine,
Well,
move
we-
it.
so. That okay to move it with everybody?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
All right.
Mike, you mentioned before that Pastor Dan had some ideas about the future of the men's group. Have you talked to him about that?
To be honest with you, Jim, no. And the reason I haven't is because, I don't know if you knew this or not, but I'm chair of SPRC committee this year. And, we have been, under some mandates to change the way certain things are done by the conference, by federal regulations and by conference standards, that basically have led to reworking job descriptions, payments, and other stuff. And we've been busy trying to do that, because it's kind of what we've discovered. It's kind of like remodeling an old house, What we discovered after you take the siding off is that now you got termites, and now you got to replace some studs. And when you start replacing the studs, you see that your pipes are about to break, and it's been one thing after another since January. So no, I have not had a chance to talk with him about it, and I do apologize. In January, he said he had some ideas, but it just hasn't been broached since.
Well, if you have any candidates to replace you?
I don't. So,
I'm not sure we can replace you.
well, I'm not that important.
Yes, you are. Don't
Not
kid
that
yourself. You're the
So,
only thing holding this together, Mike. Come on.
well,
I agree with what John said.
well, as I said, I'm not that important. So, but anyway, all right. So we'll move the April business meeting to the 12th. Mother's Day brunch. So we talked about this last time. I will be here, but this is also sometime around when the confirmation or the new members lunch is, And I'll be honest with you guys, I would rather do the new member lunch rather than Mother's Day brunch, because a lot of the things with Mother's Day brunch, realistically, I just don't think a lot of people show up to it. And from the last 3 years, Mother's Day brunch is not turned into what I thought it would be, because a lot of the moms sleep in. They don't bring their, which you know what? Hey, more power to them. That's fine. So I'm gonna put a motion and we can discuss this as well. But my motion is that we do not do a Mother's Day brunch. But we sponsor the new member lunch like we did last year with the roasts and the potatoes and stuff. I don't know if any of y'all remember that or not. But
Because just a month earlier, we're doing this Easter, and the Mother's Day is likely,
Well,
cross fingers, likely I will be traveling with family in the area.
uh-huh.
And last several years, I've had mom in tow for that weekend, and it's not something I can, help with. And cross fingers that it's happening again this year.
Right. Well, the thing is, and just kind of going back and tying this together here, okay? So looking at a calendar, and this is kind of why both these proposals are kind of related, okay? April 20th is Easter, which means I think it would be May 5th is Mother's Day. It's the
Yep.
first Monday in first Sunday in May.
I had that done May 11th.
Is it
Is
11th?
it 11?
Yeah, my calendar says it's holidays. It's the 11th.
Wait a minute.
It's the second Sunday.
Is it the second Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So May 11th is Mother's Day. So that means May 4th,
Breakfast.
right? 18th and 25th. All right. So here's the reason I say this. If you look at Easter being on the 20th, and if Mother's Day is the 11th, then that means confirmation is either going to be on May 4th or May 18th. And I would venture to say that May 25th is Senior Sunday. Just looking at calendars, okay?
And it's Memorial Day weekend.
Uh-huh, but it's also the last Sunday in May,
Mhm.
which has traditionally been Senior Sunday, which is when the scholarships would be awarded.
Mhm.
Okay. So my point being is that if we did the Easter brunch, probably 2 weeks later, we would do the new member lunch on May 4th and then turn around and do Mother's Day. Or if new member is not till the 18th, then we would do Easter, Mother's Day, new member lunch, My point is that we're looking at doing a whole lot of different things, and what I would rather do is do the new member lunch, because the last time that we did that with and it was also in line with the pictures for the directory. I didn't see it because I was in the kitchen the whole time, but my wife was telling me, you need to come out here and look at this. There was like 250 people in that
Yeah.
gym at one time.
It was well attended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's not necessarily all about the attendance, but
Well, you want to reach as many folks. as
But
you can.
realistically, trying to reach as many people as you can, I would much rather try to reach 250 than say 40 people that show up for Mother's Day lunch, or 22 that show up for Easter. So again, it's not that my opinion really matters that much, but that's just my thoughts, guys.
When is Fiesta, Mike?
April?
Yeah, I know, but when?
I don't know. I think it's always been the last
Well,
week.
wouldn't that conflict, would that conflict with any of this or not? I don't know.
Mid-April sometime, isn't it? Mid to late April?
It's like the 20th to. I think Oyster Bake is like, it's 2 weeks in April, so I think Oyster Bake is like around the 20th or the 19th.
Well,
And that usually kicks it off, but I couldn't tell you exactly.
So-
I haven't looked at it, Jim, but I know that all the Fiesta stuff is usually in April, but so the only thing that
April, April 24 to May 4.
so what would be in conflict would be April 20th through May 4th,
okay.
which again, I don't really know when confirmation is going to be over. It could be May 4th, it could be May 18th, you know, but it's going to be one of those 2 days. And then Mother's Day is May 11th. So, um, like I said, besides my travel plans for Easter, my thought is that, you know, if we do a Mother's Day brunch, my point is I think we should do either or. We either need to do Mother's Day brunch or we need to do new members and not both. Because doing both, I mean, we could do both, but I'd rather not do both is my deal. And
I agree with you on the new members. I think that's the best way.
Is it a matter of we're not sponsoring, or we might assist another group that is sponsoring in some small way?
So I would put it to you this way. I would say that the thing with the Mother's Day that has been in the past has been, well, the first time that we did this, we did it ourselves, you know. I mean, I remember we cracked the eggs, we made the egg bakes and all that stuff and everything. And then after that, Jason got the Sunday school classes involved with it. So he bought the materials and we cooked them. But again, if we have somebody that wants, if we have another group that wants to, if they want to co-sponsor it with us, then that's different, in my opinion. I mean, I've got no problem helping somebody cook breakfast. My point being is I don't want to have to be the one, this group, to be the point of the Mother's Day breakfast, coordinating and all that. I'll work in cooperation with someone. I would rather this group work in cooperation. So like if the quilters wanted to do Mother's Day, say, hey, we'll buy a bunch of eggs if y'all cook them. Okay. I got no problem with that. So yeah,
Everyone's gonna buy a lot of eggs.
well, biscuits.
Not for a while, anyway.
Hell, have y'all look in that refrigerator in there. There's like a dozen package of frozen biscuits in there. We ought to just, you know, youth group, I guess they're youth group, just tell us to cook them. So I guess what I'm saying is, let me revamp this motion, is that the motion is now changed to, we will not sponsor, but will co-sponsor
Or assist another group.
or assist, if asked by another group or with another group, okay? For Mother's Day. Okay. Does that make sense? Can I have a second on that,
Second.
Larry? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, cool. Now, the next thing is I promise you that I know that, and this was the other reason for this, because I know that we will be asked to do new member lunch. I already know that that's coming. So the problem is I don't know if it's May 4th or May 18th. So, well, y'all want to cook?
Let's do it.
All right. New member lunch tabled. Okay, till April. All right, scholarship already discussed. June social will be announced at another time. From the floor, I have a card from Isabella Lopez saying thank you for Wednesday night meals. Anybody wants to look at it, I can put. You want me to send this to you, Jim?
No, it's not necessary.
Okay. Pass it around, look at it. Does anybody else have anything from the floor?
Well, Mike, since you're resigning, what is your last day that you will be in charge?
June 14th.
June 14th. Okay. So we'll have to get somebody to replace you by then, or is that elections or?
After
Uh,
that.
Okay.
So
Would you talk to Dan and see what he wants to do about this?
I will converse with him after spring break.
Okay, sounds good.
Is after next week. All right, so that being said, we are done at 9:39. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
cool. And it is 9:39. We need no vote. Okay, all right, so while Bob is sitting here recording all of this on his deal to be posted to wherever cyberspace it goes, the rest of us, let's mosey over to the gym and start looking at tables.
What's your chili category?